Hey guys, I wanted to try something new today and show you the Pokemon I would suggest in each of the 5 roles. I also want to explain to you why I would choose those Pokemon and show you the builds, including the held items and the emblems. I hope you find this video pretty informative and I hope you guys enjoy this style of content. Alright guys, we're going to go into the Pokemon that I would suggest in each role, and I'm going to go through the builds and the emblem builds as well that I'd run on those Pokemon. Okay, so for your supports, I could recommend none other than the Mr. Mime. Now, Mr. Mime is incredibly powerful. It did get nerfed, but trust me, this Pokemon still remains incredibly strong. I like to run a build with Focus Band, Choice Specs, and Energy Amp. I like to stack the Choice Specs to get extra special attack. I feel like you do a lot more burst that way, a lot of damage. Choice Specs is a good option if you don't like stacking. I know a lot of you don't like stacking items. Focus Band is really solid. The sustain and the defenses in the early game, really good for Mr. Mime. It's really helpful to you to get that healing, to be able to exchange and poke out and win those 1v1s really, really strong. I do like to have Energy Amp as well. Now, a lot of people opt for things like Body Barrier here, but I think Energy Amp is just such a good item on Mr. Mime. Your Unite is on a very low cooldown, so Energy Amp is going to let you get that up even quicker, and you get a lot of Unites out. You can Unite at like 3 minutes with this thing and get it back for the Rayquaza fight. I really like Energy Amp on Mime. It also gives you more damage, and you end up just blowing up a carry completely. Now, for the moves, I recommend Power Swap and Confusion at the moment. Now, I like Barrier, but Power Swap is a lot more effective in a solo queue setting. You can heal teammates, you can sustain yourself, you can slow enemies, lower their damage down. You can also do a lot of burst with Confusion and don't need to rely on a wall to be nearby. So I recommend that set for Mime, a very strong pick in the support slot. Now for the emblems that I run on Mr. Mime, it's special attack and health. So I run 6 green and 6 white. Now I can get a little bit more out of these other passives here, but I like to opt in for the flat HP, which is a really, really good stat to have. I run the emblems as you can see on screen here. You get a lot of flat health out of this, and you get a lot of special attack off of the 6 green. The negative 1.2 special attack is not the biggest deal. So I highly suggest running emblems like this on Mime. You'll feel very tanky and you'll have a lot of burst power with you. For the attackers, the choice is a little bit harder because there are some really great options. Sylveon's great, Cramorant, Greninja, Cinderace, even Espeon, Delphox, Glaceon. They're all amazing choices, but Mew is probably the most broken character we've ever seen in the entire game. So I have to go with Mew when I say the character that I believe that you should pick as an attacker in your solo queue games if you're going to be playing like, you know, the strongest pick in slot. Now, I like to run the Double Glasses Shellbell Mew. Shellbell is kind of here because when you look at the items, like what is there that you really run on Mew? You're not going to run Muscle Band, your autos are terrible. Scope Lens, never. Focus Band is a big maybe, but you're so squishy that it's really not that beneficial. Energy Amp, not really. You're not really doing damage as you hit your Unite. That would be using it wrong. Float Stone, you don't scale off the attack stat. It's kind of worthless. Body Barrier, you're invincible in your Unite move. You don't need this. Score Shield, Aeos Cookie, you're never going to use this attack weight. Special attack specs, maybe. If you want to stack on them, you go for it. It's definitely possible. It's definitely strong. I just think Shellbell's a little more useful all around throughout the game. None of these other items make any sense on Mew, and that's kind of why I run that there. Abilities, Mew has them all. I like to start the game with Solar Beam and Light Screen. It's probably the best start in lane to get a lot of secure potential. Now, Electro Ball is really good if you think a Mew is going to invade your jungler, because you can play them out with Electro Ball early by poking them out and you win that 1v1. It's a really cool thing to do. Mew is a solid Pokemon. Now for the emblems on Mew, I run the standard 7 black, 6 green with just a couple whites, couple purples, squeeze some passives out. And this is primarily just getting as much cooldown and special attack as you can on this Pokemon to maximize your damage output. Okay, now the Allrounder slot. This one's another really, really hard one. Machamp's my favorite Pokemon of all time, but I wouldn't say this. Lucario is decently strong. Serena too. Dragonite, you can flip. Charizard does really well too, especially out the jungle. Buzzwole, solid. Tyranitar's, they're all pretty solid, right? These are the 2 I would highly suggest. And I would honestly, even though Azumarill is really, really strong right now and fairly easy to play, level 4 Power Spike is huge, I would highly recommend Aegislash right now. I think Aegislash is one of the best Pokemon in the game still. Whether you're going the Iron Head or the Wide Guard stage, is such a good mon. So I like to run this build on my I was jungling. I was jungling and I was mixing it up with Razor Claw, but I definitely like to go attack weight here. But if you don't like the stack, you can definitely go the Razor Claw there. Now this is a solid build for a really strong Pokemon. The Focus Band helps you get some sustain. Weakness Policy allows you to do more damage as you're taking those hits in those long drawn out fights, as well as giving you a little bit of health for a bit more bulk. You've got the attack weight to really go with those big scalings you have and do a lot of damage. Now Razor Claw is decent there as well if you're running like Iron Head out the jungle. I like to play this Pokemon primarily with Sacred Sword and Wide Guard. I think that's the better set. But Ironhead is really strong right now after the buffs. It's a really good Pokemon, and the reason I suggest this over the other all-rounders like Azumarill is the objective secure you have with the Unite move. You can win a game with Aegislash by hitting a good Unite on Rayquaza, good Unites on Regieleki, and just the Unite is really beneficial because of the objective secure, which makes it, to me, a really, really strong Pokemon. Now, for the emblems that I run on Aegislash, it's actually an interesting mix. So I have 6 brown with 4 blues and 4 whites. I know I can get 2 purples in here as well as 2 blues, but I like the 4 blues because it gives me a lot of physical bulk. And I do like the fact that I'm able to sneak in these emblems here that give me a lot of crit rate. I like having crit rate on my emblems a lot of the time because in the early game, if you hit that 2.7% just wild crit, it's so beneficial to you and you just end up hard winning the trade. I feel like it's really good on a lot of the all-rounders. It's not the best set at all times, but this is what I prefer to play, and I highly recommend that you try it out because it feels really, really strong. Now, for the defenders, I'm actually kind of torn between 2, and those 2 would be Snorlax and Mamoswine. There are good options here in Blastoise, Trevenant, Greedent as well, even Crustle, Slowbro. They're all pretty solid picks. But I think Mamoswine right now in solo queue is probably your best option as a defender because it plays this doubly all-rounder role that can do a lot of damage while also peeling and playing that defensive role really well. Mamoswine's in a really good spot right now. The build I run is actually the same as my Aegislash build. So I run Focus Band for the sustain and the tankiness, Attack Weight to do some big damage with those Icicle Crashes, and Weakness Policy to do more damage in those sustained fights. Now, there are other builds. You can run over Focus Band, you could run an Eos Cookie. You could run a Muscle Band here over, say, Weakness, over Attack Weight. There are definitely other builds and other options. I find this one the one that I've had the most success with. I like to run Icicle Crash and High Horsepower. I think that is the best set to run on Mamoswine. It feels incredibly strong, incredibly powerful. And I definitely think that is what you should be playing. I think Mamoswine is probably the best solo queue defender right now. Snorlax can really come close, but you're not going to put the damage numbers out with Snorlax that you will with Mamoswine, and sometimes in solo queue you just need that little bit more damage. Now, the emblem set I run on Mamoswine is actually quite unique, and a lot of people don't tend to run this set. I think I'm probably one of the only few that run this kind of a set. I have tried the 6-6-6 set with the 6 browns, the 6 purples, and the 6 blues. I have tried more offensive sets, but this feels the best for me with the way that I play Mamoswine. I've had the most success with this kind of a build. It has 6 blues and 6 whites, so you have a lot of effective health, especially on the defensive side, and the 2 purples. Now, this here, mathematically, you have maybe a couple hundred less effective health on the special side than the 6-6-6 set, but you have a lot more on the defensive side, and you're just all around really bulky, especially with the flat HP you have here. So this is one I've had the most success with. I definitely recommend you try this one out. If not, you can go safely with the 666 build. Anyone unsure with what I mean by the 666 build, this is it here. Just to clarify, it's 6 of these 3, and it's also pretty solid on Mamoswine. I just kind of have been preferring the other build lately. Okay, now last but definitely not least. Now this one's actually really hard because Gengar is so incredibly strong, especially at lower tiers, and even at high tiers it does fairly well. It's a really, really strong pick. So is Absol. Absol is unbelievably strong, ungodly strong almost. And then there's Talonflame, incredible pick at split pushing, does so well. Zeraora fairly decent too, but honestly, my genuine opinion is Dodrio is the go-to solo queue speedster to win games. I genuinely believe in this Pokemon. I think that with a build of Attack Weight, Floatstone, and Razor Claw, it's really, really good, and I'll explain why. So Floatstone, it benefits your passive and it gives you more movement speed around the map. It's really good. It's not a must-in slot. You could run Eos Cookie here for sure if you want to. Score Shield to root more pressure. There are other options. I like Attack Weight for sure because you have really good damage off of Tri-Attack. You do a lot of damage with this Pokemon, and your boosted orders as well do a lot of damage, and that's why we go with Razor Claw. Razor Claw is something you'll be using a lot on this Pokemon. So with Dodrio, you're going to run either Tri-Attack or Jump Kick. Either Agility or Jump Kick, but I prefer Agility, and you're going to run it Tri-Attack. Now, this build is incredibly strong, does a lot of damage, and with the passive that Dodrio has, you can really score really easily. You can get around the map really well. It's a really strong Pokemon. If you do the combos properly, getting those boosted attacks in between, you do a lot of damage, and the reason I've picked this over the other speedsters is because Dodrio can get really strong picks. It can team fight decently well by coming in and out of the fight, but it can also score really, really well and get a lot of pressure off. No one backcaps like Dodrio because you can cancel after that first initial dunk and you can just win a close battle out of nowhere. Dodrio is quite the threat. It's got a skill cap to it. It's definitely something you need to learn, but I promise you, once you learn to play Dodrio, you won't regret it. I believe it is the easiest speedster to win games with and carry games with at the moment in the game. The emblems I run on Dodrio is the crit set here. So this could be better if I had a Kabuto to throw on for one of these guys here. But this essentially just is crit. This is all about having 6 browns, 4 whites, and a lot of crit. You can get 2 blues out of it. You get 3.5% crit rate, and it would be a lot higher if I got Kabuto. So crit alone is not worth it, but 6 browns with crit, excellent, amazing on a Pokemon like Dodrio. I highly recommend it. You can run movement speed sets as well if that's what you prefer, if you want to play that more split pushy style. Dodrio is a Pokemon you kind of build to how you want to play, and that's why I think it's so good. It's because of its versatility. If you like this style of content, let me know, leave a comment for sure. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.